The coastal town of Harbor Point, Maine, was wrapped in mist that morning, the kind that blurred the line between ocean and sky. Inside a weathered café called the Dockside Brew, Noah Jensen wiped his hands on his jeans and tried not to look like he didn't belong. He was 33, a marine mechanic who spent his life repairing other people's engines while his own dreams rusted quietly in the background. His hands were calloused, his jacket smelled faintly of salt and oil, and he had the kind of tired eyes you only get from losing too much sleep, or someone you loved. His younger sister, Emily, had set him up on a blind date. A text glowed on the cracked screen of his phone. "Table by the window. She's wearing a green sweater. Don't chicken out, Noah." He looked up. By the window, sunlight spilled over a woman in a green knit sweater, her hair the color of chestnuts, twisted into a loose braid. Her coffee sat untouched as she gazed at the sea beyond the glass. Taking a breath, Noah approached. "Hey," he said with a half-smile. "I'm Noah. Are you waiting for someone?" The woman blinked, startled, then smiled. "I am, actually, my father. He's running late as usual." "Oh," Noah said, heat rising in his neck. "I think I might have, sat at the wrong table." Her smile widened. "Seems that way, but don't worry, I don't bite. You might as well sit until your mystery date shows up." Noah hesitated, but something in her tone, the quiet humor, the warmth, disarmed him. He sat. "I'm sorry for interrupting." "Please," she said. "This town could use a little interruption. I'm Grace Holloway." "Noah Jensen," he replied. "Mechanic. I fix boats, mostly." Her eyes brightened. "You work down by the harbor, right?" "The little blue workshop near the docks." He nodded. "That's me, the place with the broken sign and the world's best instant coffee." Grace laughed softly. "I walk past it every morning on my way to the clinic." "You're a doctor?" Noah asked. She shook her head. "Physical therapist. I help people after injuries or surgeries. Or try to." Something in her voice made him look closer. Not pity, not sadness, but the careful calm of someone who'd already walked through fire. And that's when he noticed the brace on her leg, just visible beneath the table. She caught his glance and smiled before he could apologize. "Motorcycle accident. 2 years ago. Still relearning what normal feels like." Noah's throat tightened. "That sounds hard," Grace shrugged. "It was. Still is sometimes. But you can to rebuild a body, or a life, without getting your hands a little dirty, right?" He grinned. "Guess we're in the same business then." They both laughed. And for the first time in months, Noah forgot what loneliness felt like. They talked for nearly an hour, about salt air and engine grease, about how people always underestimated quiet towns and broken things. Grace told him how her father worried constantly, how he treated her like she might shatter if she breathed wrong. Noah told her how he'd lost his mother young, and his father had filled the silence with engines instead of words. The conversation flowed easily, the kind that makes time bend. When her father finally arrived, a tall man in a crisp coat with the posture of someone who'd spent a lifetime commanding rooms, Noah could feel the shift. "Grace," he said, "I didn't realize you had company." "Dad, this is Noah," Grace said, smiling. "He sat at the wrong table." Mr. Holloway's eyes flicked to Noah's oil-stained hands, then to the worn patch on his jacket. "Ah," he said simply. "A mechanic." Noah nodded politely. "Pleasure to meet you, sir." "Likewise," the older man said, though his tone made the word sound anything but. "Grace, your car's out front. We should go." "Actually," Grace said, her tone calm but firm, "I think I'll finish my coffee first." Her father hesitated, then nodded stiffly and stepped aside. When he was gone, Noah whispered, "He seems protective." She smirked. "That's his polite word for controlling." Noah grinned. "Mine too." They shared one last laugh before she scribbled something on a napkin and slid it toward him. "In case your real date never shows," she said with a wink. He looked down. Her number. The call came that night, and then again and again. Over the next few weeks, Grace became his favorite mistake. They met for coffee, for late-night walks by the docks, for quiet talks under the hum of the harbor lights. She'd tease him for always apologizing before speaking. He'd tease her for trying to fix everyone but herself. She taught him how to slow down. He taught her how to laugh again. And somehow, somewhere between busted engines and therapy sessions, they fell in love. But not everyone approved. Mr. Holloway visited Noah's workshop one afternoon, the smell of salt and motor oil hanging heavy in the air. "Mr. Jensen," he began, "I'll be direct. My daughter has been through enough. She needs stability, not uncertainty." Noah met his gaze. "With all due respect, sir, I'm not uncertainty. I'm commitment." The man's jaw tightened. "Commitment doesn't pay bills or guarantee a future." Noah's voice stayed calm. "Neither does fear." For a moment, silence stretched between them. Then Mr. Holloway turned and left without another word. Winter rolled in, bringing a brutal storm that lashed the coast for 2 straight days. The docks flooded. Boats tore loose from their moorings. Noah's small workshop filled with seawater faster than he could drain it. He was waist-deep in freezing water, desperately trying to salvage what he could, when headlights cut through the rain. Grace's SUV. She climbed out, leaning on her crutch, hair soaked and wind-whipped. "Noah," she shouted over the storm, "you're going to freeze to death out here. I can't just let it go," he yelled back. "This place is all I have." Grace waded in beside him, shaking her head. "Then we save it together." For the next hour, they worked side by side, Grace directing volunteers, using her clinic contacts to organize supplies, even hacking a generator from Noah's spare parts. She was fierce, commanding, unstoppable. When her father arrived, expecting to find chaos, he instead found his daughter leading the charge like a general, soaked, muddy, radiant. He stood frozen in awe. "Grace." She turned to him, breathless but smiling. "See, Dad, I don't need saving. I just needed purpose." Noah caught his gaze. "She's tougher than any engine I've ever worked on." Mr. Holloway said nothing for a long moment. Then finally he nodded. "I see that now." By spring, the shop was rebuilt, stronger, brighter, busier than ever. Noah added a ramp, a wider doorway, and a small wooden sign carved with a single word: "Together." One morning, Grace arrived to find the place empty, except for candles flickering along the workbenches and a table covered in seashells and tools polished clean. "Noah," she called. "Over here," he said, stepping out from behind a half-finished boat, wiping his hands nervously on a rag. She smiled. "What's all this?" He took a breath. "You once told me healing isn't about going back to who you were. It is about learning who you are now. I thought I'd lost everything that mattered. But then I sat at the wrong table and met the one person who made me want to start over." He knelt, eye level with her, and held up a small silver band fashioned from a repurposed boat bolt. "Grace Holloway, will you let me build this life with you, dents, rust and all?" Tears filled her eyes as she whispered, "Yes, always yes." They married that summer on the docks, beneath strings of lights and the smell of salt and hope. Mr. Holloway walked her down the aisle, his eyes wet with pride. During the reception, as the sea shimmered under the sunset, Noah raised his glass and said, "Sometimes the wrong table is exactly where life meant for you to sit. Because maybe love isn't about fixing broken things. It is about realizing they were never broken at all." Grace squeezed his hand, smiling, and in that moment, with the tide rolling in and laughter echoing across the harbor, it was clear the mechanic and the healer had finally rebuilt more than engines. They'd rebuilt each other. Or the right person doesn't rescue you. They remind you that you were whole all along.